Welcome, everyone. I'm Dan Kakish, founder of RGT Consultants, and I'm excited to host today's webinar. Today, we're going to be discussing how organizations can evaluate and transition to ChromeOS with insights from experts in the industry. Our two talented guests from Google and Codimite will be discussing why organizations are adopting ChromeOS and new tools that'll help customers adopt ChromeOS. In advance, I'd like to thank ASUS for their sponsorship, as we'll be providing an ASUS Chromebook Plus to one member attending organization. More details to follow at the end of this session. So thanks again for joining, and let's dive in. Before we start, I'll share a bit more about RGT Consultants and who we are. We specialize in helping IT teams successfully adopt and manage Google endpoint solutions, including Chromebooks and Google Workspace. Our services range from technical consulting like the Chrome Readiness Assessment that we'll be discussing, Google for Education and Google for Enterprise Domain Health Checks, training programs, including our ChromeOS IT Admin Bootcamps. We work closely with partners like Google, Chromebook OEMs like ASUS, distributors like TD SYNNEX, and many resellers to equip IT admins with the knowledge and tools they need to optimize their environments. We focus on efficiency, security, and best practices, and we want to empower organizations to get the most out of their Google ecosystem. Today, I'm excited to be joined by two experts. Fausto Tavares, who's a partner sales engineer at Google. We'll be discussing the value prop of ChromeOS for business and for schools. And Natasha Silva, analyst at Codimite, will introduce a new tool that really helps IT teams assess the ChromeOS readiness. And our goal is to provide you with actionable insights on evaluating and deploying ChromeOS in your environment. Let's take a little peek deeper into ChromeOS. And one of the topics we're covering today is focus on what exactly is ChromeOS, what is Chromebooks, and how and why are organizations adopting ChromeOS? I really love the tagline of an OS for a new era. From my knowledge of what ChromeOS is, it really kind of adheres to the new era and how users and IT departments are utilizing endpoint solutions. In this section, I'm going to bring in Fausto to share a little more about ChromeOS, an operating system for a new era, and Chromebooks Plus. So, Fausto, ChromeOS has been really popular in key verticals and has seen tremendous growth. I'd love for you to share a little bit more about really the value prop of ChromeOS, specifically maybe addressing why companies and education institutions are adopting ChromeOS, and maybe a little bit of background about what you do and what you do at Google as well would be super helpful.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the time. I always love to come and talk about ChromeOS. I've been at Google now for 6 years, and that entire time has been with the ChromeOS team. And it's amazing how things have evolved over the last few years. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's a real need out there for something that is completely different, something that is going to be a complete shift. Every time there's a study done about some of the things that IT managers have top of mind, security is one of those things. Manageability is one of those things. And these are things that we take very seriously. So, for example, starting with security, we're still the only operating system that has had 0 ransomware attacks. Whenever you look at the news and there is any type of, some attack on, let's say, a hospital or a school or, any small business out there, you can be sure that none of those customers are going to be ChromeOS customers. In addition to that, we have a total cost of ownership that is significantly lower than our competition. And we're not just talking about, the cost of the devices. When you take everything that we bring to the table in terms of cost of the devices, but also the implementation, deployment of the devices, and then how long it takes to deploy applications, to get it into the hands of the users, and then to manage it at scale, our Our solution is usually almost $4,000 per device over the length of 3 years. So when you take all these things into consideration, we know that the OS is really well positioned for the future. In addition to that, there is a level of simplicity both for the end users and for the IT managers. I think people are ready for an operating system that they could just simply turn on, that it will boot very quickly, and most importantly, that it's going to be safe. In addition to that, we have a management platform where you can take care of everything from a single pane of glass, and we're really proud about that. In addition to that, we have a lot of flexibility, which is also super important for us, both in terms of price points, but also in terms of all of the different hardware components that you can attach to a device. We have a very flexible operating system that can be used in a bunch of different use cases. So, whether you are a reseller that is selling into an education institution or to a business, you can be sure that there's going to be use cases out there that you can sell ChromeOS into.
Thanks. No, a lot of good stuff on Chromebooks and Chrome OS. One of the biggest concerns we get from IT leaders, and we hear this in our engagements, is when they're considering Chrome OS, whether they're looking at the security or manageability, those are top of mind in every conversation. And really, can we dive into a little bit deeper into how is really Chrome OS more secure from other operating systems, and what's the architecture and what it looks like? And I think we'll show that in the next slide, but can you speak a little bit more about kind of legacy approach from a security perspective and how Chrome OS addresses that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this slide particularly, I think is fantastic because I think a lot of people just don't realize how much it takes to run an IT department. And IT admins have to deal with just a huge number of tools that they have to deploy. After they deploy these tools, then they have to manage them. Whenever a new person starts into the team, they have to be trained in all of this. Now, if you look at the list here, I just want to point out a few of them. DLP, I mean, data is the lifeblood of a company. If you don't have a good data loss prevention solution in place, you're putting your company at risk. In terms of antivirus, I always say that antivirus is good for protecting you against yesterday's viruses, right? Which means that you constantly have to update it. There's a thing called virus definitions, and virus definitions, if they're out of date, your users are vulnerable. So you have that going for yourself. And then there's XDR. Again, a lot of tools that you have to deploy and manage. In addition to that, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of people don't use the built-in encryption tool that comes with Windows. Why? Because it's very complicated to use. And so they end up even using third-party solutions, even for something like that. And then even before you get to that point, you have to create an image, install applications on it, and deploy it. That portion alone sometimes can take weeks, especially when you get a new device shipped. Our approach is completely different. We think that there's a better way to do it. And over the last decade, we have been creating technologies that completely get rid of all that complexity and makes it super simple. So from the moment you get a Chromebook, even if you're using it as a standalone device, it is very secure because it has something called Verify Boot. With that, we have a system that basically checks to make sure that none of the components of the operating system has been tampered with. We have signatures on the OS, the firmware, the drivers, and if the system detects that anything has been tampered with, it will automatically delete it and give you a new version of it. In addition to that, the encryption is local, managed, there internally. So everything, the IT admin doesn't have to deal with that same complexity, and you don't have to pay extra, which is also great. In addition to that, whenever we talk about that complexity of getting the devices out to the end users, you don't have to worry about that because we have about 700 policies that get delivered over the air without the need for VPN to the end users. What ends up happening there is that you can actually take a device out of the box from the moment that you connect to the Wi-Fi and enroll it into an admin console. It just takes about 7.5 minutes for you to be in front of a login screen that, it's basically ready to go. Compare that to a Windows solution where it could take up to half an hour. I mean, the time savings alone are huge. So that means no imaging. This all happens, wirelessly, basically over the air.
Yeah,
And
really, really great. I mean, Fausto, when you kind of think about traditional legacy devices, you have to image them, and then if you want to add more software, you have to create another image. If there's a new device, say you move from a particular model by an OEM
Mhm.
and a new device model, that one goes end of life, you get a new device, you really have to recreate that image. With my understanding of Chrome OS and the management console is, regardless of which device it is, all of those policy updates happen instantaneously, and you don't have to recreate an image or give new software access to your end users. You could do it remotely. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, that is correct. One of the beauties of having this ecosystem is that we work very closely with all of our OEMs. So all of the updates are managed seamlessly through that same admin console. Again, everything is under a single pane of glass. So all of the policies will go to the devices regardless of which brand. The system is smart enough to know which updates go to which systems, and everything is completely seamless. So all of the updates happen, silently on the secondary image that we have within the OS, and the users don't, they're not bothered. They don't lose any time with those long reboots that you will see in other platforms.
Talk to me. One of the big challenges this year is that October upgrade date as well too, and so we see a lot of companies struggling with upgrades. So let's just say an organization decides to go to Chrome OS. Like, what does the upgrade path look like from a Chrome perspective? Do they have to adhere to certain dates? How does the process of updating the operating system work?
Well, we do things very differently for good reason. When it comes to a brand new device, and by the way, we have come a very long way in terms of the type of devices that we have available. So let's say that you are up against that date in October, and you have to replace a bunch of devices. So our selection of devices start with, let's say a regular standard Chromebook, and those devices can be used, on schools. They can be used businesses for frontline workers, and these devices offer great affordability and simplicity, but they still get the job done. Then, if you go to the next step, we have devices that are called Chromebook Plus. These devices have twice the power of a standard Chromebook, and they can be used, by your power users, corner office. If it's a school, these are the devices that you will recommend for your teachers and your administrators. And in addition to that, then we have Chrome boxes. Now, Chrome boxes will be sort of your standard desktop replacement. One of the things I love about them is that they're very flexible. You can take one of these boxes that are very small, and you can put it behind, behind a big screen TV with a VESA mount, and you have a beautiful signage solution that looks very clean without anything protruding out. So these are used a lot for digital signage, call centers, pretty fantastic. Now, if you cannot find one of the devices that kind of meets your needs, we also have something called ChromeOS Flex. ChromeOS Flex basically allows you, it's a software that you can download, by the way, and install it on your personal machine. But basically, it's a copy of Chrome OS that you can download it into a USB drive, and just boot up a Windows machine, and it will wipe Windows and install Chrome OS on it. And then, of course, as a reseller, you can sell a license to manage those devices and bring it into the admin console. The great thing about Flex is, like, number one, it's free. You'll now be able to install it remotely without without having to go device by device with a USB drive. And once again, it's going to be managed side by side with a regular Chromebook. We do have a lot of options from all of our OEMs. We have fantastic relationships with pretty much all of your favorite OEMs. So HP, Lenovo, Acer, ASUS, we work with all of them. And with all of them, you will find a huge range of devices, both in terms of form factors and in price points.
Yeah, I think what we've enjoyed as a partner is whether I'm the OEM selections, right? So if I want to use a particular model of a Chromebook for a certain use case, and then use a Chromebook somewhere else, whether it's model or OEM, I'm really not tied into that, because at the operating system level, there's no need for imaging anymore, and then the same security standards, so that user, if you jump from a Chromebook to a Chrome-based to a Chromebook, you're really getting that same experience. So you've kind of checked the security for me, you've checked the imaging reduction, fast boot up times, and then a big one that I kind of always think about is like updating the operating system, right? Chrome OS takes a little bit of a different approach, where updates to the operating system happen in the background at the control of IT, but there's not this dead set date of end of life. And it makes it super easy to manage upgrades as well, and patch updates, right? Those blue screens of death or patch Tuesdays are no longer a thing with Chrome operating system. So love the new lineup from the OEMs.
Oh yeah, we're very, very proud of the way that our updates happen completely seamlessly in the background. And one of the things that I guess a lot of people don't realize it, but every Chromebook out there, regardless of price point, there are 2 copies of the OS running at the same time. On one of them, you're working, and on the other one, it's just sitting there for 2 reasons. One, it waits for updates, right? And whenever those updates are applied, which once again are basically done at the discretion of the IT admins. As a matter of fact, you can update different sections of the company at different times, depending on your needs. So the updates get installed on that secondary copy, and then during a reboot, it swaps out so that you always have that latest. And the other reason why we have the secondary copy is for the reason that I mentioned at the beginning. If verified boot finds anything wrong with the OS, it will always have a copy locally to get you up and running within just a few seconds.
That's fantastic. Thanks again, Fausto, for the additional context and super valuable information. One of the particular questions we also get from being a Google partner from a lot of IT directors is, all right, great, I'm sold on it. I want to investigate this. What steps should I consider in evaluating Chrome OS? And it's a really great question, because a lot of organizations have never really transitioned or had to transition or migrate from one operating system at the endpoint level to another operating system platform. They've typically just upgraded their current OS that they have, and they kind of deal with fundamental requirements. So as an organization and a consulting partner at RGT, we really recommend a structured approach and how to adopt Chrome OS. It really comes down to 4 steps before taking on the 5th step of deployment. One, really, it's about evaluation, using tools that we're going to talk about with the Chrome Readiness Tool to assess your current app landscape and determine compatibility. This really helps IT teams make decisions based upon data as opposed to kind of gut. So second one really is to define your use case and design certain things so you could get the most out of Chrome OS, considering factors like device needs, security requirements, and management policies, because it's fundamentally different in the approach than legacy environments. And we highly also recommend consider a partner to help you in this process. And there's certain services like Chrome OS Jumpstart. Third stage is really being around assessing and looking at starting a pilot group within your environment at an organization of testing Chrome OS in real life scenarios, and then leveraging things like zero touch enrollment that Google provides through their partner ecosystem. And before a large deployment, typically like to optimize. Let's continually refine the policies, the security settings, and making sure that end users are prepared so they could maximize the utilization of Chrome OS and Chromebooks. Things to consider here within the partner ecosystem are services like an audit services that'll help you configure those settings and make sure that you're secure. So in short, following these steps as IT teams, you could transition smoothly, ensuring end users have the tools that they need in this transition. And feel free to reach out to us at RGT for this. We're also available via our vast partnerships at resellers. And I'm going to move on to a little bit more into the Chrome Readiness Tool, which is in the evaluation stage, right? So the first thing we're going to dive and talk about the new tools and services that are available for organizations that will help you understand your feasibility for adopting Chrome OS. So I'd like to bring in Mathaja at this point, who's an analyst from Codimite. Mathaja, love to tell us a little bit more about Codimite and a little bit about the problem you're trying to solve with the development of this new tool that we're going to learn about.
Yes, Danny. So first of all, hi everyone. I'm really great. I'm feeling really great to be a part of this conversation. I'm very excited to share about our ChromeOS Readiness Tool. So let me start introducing Codimite first. So we are a global offshore software development company. We are mainly into AI assisted software development to deliver tailored solutions for real world challenges. So one such challenge is to help users to determine if they are ready to switch to Chrome OS from their Windows. Because there are a lot of people who are actually really interested in Chromebooks, but then again, they kind of hesitate because they are not sure whether they can do everything they are currently doing with their Windows on Chrome OS. So this Chrome OS Readiness Tool will help them with that. This tool will do a full assessment, and at the end of the assessment, it will give a clear idea to the user whether their device is ready to switch to Chrome OS or not. So that's the main purpose behind the ChromeOS Readiness Tool.
No, thanks for the additional information, Mathaja. Sounds like an impactful tool that it really helps IT departments or organizations evaluate if Chrome is even a good option for them, or if they could adopt Chrome OS as an operating system. Big questions that come across is, how is this tool developed? What's the architecture and how the tool works? Are you able to share a little bit more and speak a little bit more to kind of the architecture in the next slide?
Yeah, definitely. I will give you a quick overview of how this tool works. So the very first step is the organization administrator needs to download the Chrome OS Readiness Tool setup file to the admin machine, and he needs to execute that file in the admin machine. So once that execution is completed, the ChromeOS Readiness Tool install application will be installed to the admin machine, through which the data collectors will install to the client machines as well. So these data collectors will collect data from the client machines, and then the collected data will stored in a designated storage location. Now, there is a very important thing I want to highlight here. So for each client machine, there is a unique encryption key. So using that, we encrypt the data, and then only the data will be stored in the storage location. So at the end of the data collection time period, the data needs to be downloaded back to the admin machine report generator to generate the report. So there also, since the data is already encrypted, so what need to do is we need to decrypt those data using a private key. This private key is unique for each organization. So using that private key, we will decrypt the data, and then the report generator will generate a report using those data. So this report will give a clear idea for the administrator about the readiness status of that entire organization. So that's a quick overview of how this tool works.
No, thanks. So yeah, maybe summarize it even a little bit more. For I'm not the super technical on this technical side. I have my engineers that usually cover this, but my side of the house, I kind of think of this as a server client solution with some storage components. So you're installing the tool on the server, pushing it out to the end clients. It's reporting back the usage based upon analytics, and then it's storing it in a secure fashion in the client end users environment, so nothing's really shared across the board as well too with anybody else. Is that correct?
Yes, definitely.
Cool. And as we've worked with customers, we have our own demo environment set up with this, and help some clients also deploy this tool. I love seeing all of the expansion of the feature sets. One of the things that we come across is what deployment methodologies are supported for this tool. Can you expand upon that?
Yeah, so when it comes to installation, like the deployment, we have two options for users. So the first one is the enterprise flow. So that's mainly for users whose organization networks are managed by Active Directory. So for such users, we have the enterprise flow. And then we have the PowerShell flow as well. So it's mainly for organization who use UEM softwares to install application across their network. So for such users, we have the PowerShell version. So based on their requirement, users can go with either of those installation methods to install the tool.
No, great, thank you. Yeah, it sounds like there's a couple different options depending on a particular client's IT infrastructure as well too, that you have created some customizable solutions. So sounds like a lot of brain power went into developing this, and really help support the different types of endpoint technologies organizations have deployed, so it makes it easy to run this tool. And what can a client expect? Like, what is the feature sets in the tool, and what reports could they expect so they can make some decisions around ChromeOS readiness?
Yes, definitely. So this ChromeOS Readiness Tool comes with several key features. So the main feature is, like I've already mentioned when I'm explaining the installation methods, we can install this tool with or without an Active Directory. So users has both options. So when it comes to installing the tool. And then when we are collecting data, we need a storage location to store the collected data. So for that also, we are providing two main options. So in case if there is someone who want to store the data locally within the organization, so for them we have the network shared folder option. And in case someone is preferred to store data in a cloud storage option, so for them we have the GCP storage option as well. So those are the mainly available storage options currently. And once the data collection is completed, the report generator will generate a report for the administrator, including all the readiness details of the organization. So the important thing is we have given the flexibility for users so that they can export these reports as Excel sheets from the report generator. So in case they want to do any further analysis, so they can use these Excel sheets as well. So that flexibility is there with report generation feature. And also we have the feedback feature as well. So in case our customers has any feedback, or if they need any clarification from our end, so they can always reach back to us via this feedback feature. And other than that, we are doing the peripheral assessment as well. So we want to make sure that not only the core devices, but also the peripheral devices are also considered when it comes to the assessment. So the peripheral readiness assessment is also included within the features. And other than that, we have the web dashboard as well. So I can explain on that. So if you can move to the next slide, please.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. So a lot of features and flexibility in whether you want to deploy this on-prem, cloud-based, the analytics coming back could also be manipulated to, maybe I'm looking at a certain data point that is a pain point at my company. And I really like the flex readiness assessment as well too, which is the operating system. But I'll let you speak a little bit more about maybe the reporting that a client could expect to receive from this tool.
Yes, definitely. So this is the web dashboard. This is mainly for users who choose to store their data in GCP storage option. So This allows users to view their readiness data in a more comprehensive manner. As you can already see, it includes all the list of devices and their readiness status. Then we have the application readiness status as well for each device. And like you already mentioned, if the particular device is ready for ChromeOS Flex, then we show that as well in the dashboard. And other than that, the peripheral device data will also included in this web dashboard. And most importantly, like I've already mentioned, that we are always concerned about the security of the data. We have done all the steps we can do to make sure the security of the data is secure. So here also, if someone want to access their web dashboard, they need to enter their private key. So until then, they won't be able to access the web dashboard. Once after they enter the private key, then only they can view the data in their web dashboard. So that's a quick walkthrough about the web dashboard as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it. And, you know, I think speaking to you all, this is the client's data and their data, so super secure around that. And we're running a little bit behind. So really, Fausto, Natasha, thank you for providing an overview and a great tool with CRT. And just want to do a little bit of a plug-in. Actually, we really believe in this tool from RGT Consultants, and we've been super impressed by it, that we've actually built a whole practice around this and enabled our in-house engineers. And we built a service that is available through resellers, through that you could contact us to kind of position. If you're a client, you could reach out to us as well too to learn more. And essentially our Chrome readiness assessments unlocks our engineers to help you through support of the deployment of this tool, troubleshooting, understanding the data, helping you configure whether it's on-prem or cloud-based, and recommendations for next steps. So, and usually the next question we get is, Dan, how much do you guys charge for the service? And I'm happy to share that in many cases, we're able to subsidize the engineering cost at this and offer this at no charge. So, and that flows also through our partner ecosystem community. So if you're thinking about this, reach out to us. We'll help you and guide you through the process on that. And quick recap, and we'll move on to the session that a lot of you have also probably been waiting for, and how to qualify for the ASUS Chromebook Plus, which is a CX54. It's got 5 Intel i5, 8 gigs of memory, and 128 SSDs. And we'll take questions in a few minutes. But a quick recap to this webinar. You know, things I learned here is ChromeOS offers security, simplicity, and cost savings. So any organization should really be thinking about this. The ChromeOS Readiness Assessment really helps IT teams assess ChromeOS compatibility. So an easy way to dip your toes to understand if ChromeOS is feasible. And RGT Consultants provides expert advice. So at least you have experts and engineers that will help you through this evaluation. And before we open it up to questions, please scan this code, enter your information to be, we'll be raffling off, giving away one Chromebook Plus from ASUS. So fill that out and we'll open it up for questions now and try to address those. We have a question that what will be your license structure per user, per device? How can we sell your product? So I may, Fausto, I think they're speaking in regards to the CEU pricing. So I'll let you answer that if you could.
Sure. So basically, when it comes to ChromeOS, we have management licenses that you could buy depending on the type of organization that you are. So if we're talking about EDU, we have a license called the Chrome Education Upgrade, and that's a license that is sort of a one-time purchase. It's perpetual for as long as the device is good to go. It's $38 per device. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you sell 1,000 Chromebooks, you sell 1,000 Chrome Education upgrades. On the enterprise side, we have a little bit more variety there. We have one that is an annual license. It's $50 per year per device. And that's called the Chrome Enterprise Upgrade. We also have one that is bundled with the device itself. So it's a one-time purchase. If you buy a Chromebook, that would normally be around $450. You pay a little bit more because the license is bundled. And once again, that will last for as long as the device is working. We have another license that is, I think I mentioned when I was talking earlier, that we have signage use cases. We have a license that is pretty much dedicated to that. It's called the kiosk and signage license, and that's $25 per year per device. In terms of the ChromeOS Readiness Tool, the tool itself is actually free, so you don't have to pay for that. The only thing that you have to work on is, getting the services done. You obviously have the opportunity to do it by yourself, but it's usually better to just do it with one of the partners that you see here so that they can kind of guide you through that process. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. And I think we got another question. What's the minimum size of customers you recommend? So if you're looking at this to offer to your customers, it does, I'd say, making sure that the customer has the right infrastructure, that they're running a server client type of environment first. So this could be done for 20 users all the way up to, there's been interest from companies that have tens of thousands of users. So I wouldn't say it's really companies that are interested, but if you're going to target somebody, I'd probably start saying where it makes sense with the amount of technical solutions that you have to deploy to get an understanding. It probably starts at about 20 or 25 users. Natasha, from a security perspective, we have a question like, what type of security, could you expand a little bit more around the security side of the house of the tool in regards to our, especially coming in from any type of regulations, rules, or anything that was kind of built within the tool?
Yes.
Like GDPR?
Yes, definitely. So first of all, when we are collecting data, we do not collect any private data. So it's all the data we are collecting is just the necessary data for the readiness assessment, like the application usage, the start time, end time, and then when it comes to a device name, and the domain, we to identify the domain. So we collect these type of data. So we do not collect any private data. And also, like I've already mentioned when I'm explaining the architecture of the tool, so whenever we are collect data, before we store the collected data, we always encrypt those data with encryption key. To make sure that the security of the data, then only we store the collected data. And also when it comes to our storage options, so we have the network shared folder option and as well as a GCP storage option. So in network shared folder, it means the data is storing locally. So the data will store in the user's end within the organization. So in that case, the data will not leave their organization premises in that case. And when it comes to GCP storage option, there are also users need to provide their own storage bucket. Then only the data will be storing there. It's not like from Codimite 10, we are not providing the storage bucket. So we are storing data in their own storage bucket. So that is also there because we need to make sure the security of the collected data. I hope I answered that.
No, thank you. Yeah, basically, what the tool is reading is device-centric data and not any P2 or what's called personally identifiable information. So it's really keeping it at the device level, and then secondly, the storage being local. So as long as a customer you're protected locally and you have your firewalls protecting your internal storage, you should be in pretty good shape.
I actually wanted to add one more thing, which is none of this data is shared with Google. Unless you are working directly with a Google sales rep, and you actively decide to share it, none of it comes to us. This is a completely separate, enterprise. So you don't have to worry about any of that. Your data is your own, and none of it is shared with us.
I'm going to open one more question, which is, and I think all three of us may have an answer here as well. As one of the questions is, what verticals have been most interested in this tool? I'll kind of tell you from an RGT perspective in education, where we've seen it is IT directors wanting to think about this for adoption of their Chromebooks for their teachers or their staff as well. So there's been a vast majority of students adopting Chromebooks. A lot of times, most of the teachers might be on a different platform. And so in an effort to kind of get the teachers and students in the same platform, a lot of schools are reaching out to us to actually install this tool on teacher devices to really understand if they could actually adopt ChromeOS. And then we've seen it in certain key verticals, customers that are running Google Workspace, and then customers that are really looking with kind of never having to upgrade a device again and think about an operating system. So those are ones that we're getting a lot of interest from. So Fausto, any feedback from your side?
We've seen some companies on the manufacturing side that are starting to explore that. I think what we normally see is that some companies are asking about the tool and targeting specific use cases within the company first. And I think that's normal. You don't want to deploy tens of thousands of devices at the same time if you don't have to. It's usually better to just target specific areas, so you can do that whenever you're deploying the tool.
Fantastic. Thanks for that insight.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that wraps up most of the questions that are out there. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to us as well too. We're reachable at google@rgtconsultants.com. We really want to thank you for attending this session, and Fausto, Natasha, really appreciate the time and the knowledge that you've shared with us today, and looking forward to continuing to work with both of you in the future. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Okay.